Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Making the Switch to Unified Marketing Measurement, sponsored by Marketing Evolution. My name is Karen Sung, and I'll be your moderator today. I run the events and webinars program here at Marketing Evolution, and I'm excited to be hosting this session today. Just a few housekeeping items to cover about this presentation and the Marketing Evolution platform before we begin. First, today's webinar and presentation will be available on demand after the live session, and it will also be emailed to you in a follow-up email with some links to other relevant content. I'd also like to encourage you to share the recording with your coworkers and social networks. Second, we'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. If you have questions for our speaker, please feel free to send it through the questions or chat section of the control panel in your player. We'll be answering questions at the end of the session. If we don't get to your question today, I'll be sure to follow up afterwards. Now, last but not least, about Marketing Evolution. Those of you who don't know, Marketing Evolution provides a powerful marketing measurement and optimization solution. This tool increases campaign performance, sales, and engagement. Our person-centric approach provides marketers with actionable insights. It recommends media, message, and budget allocation, which empowers marketers to make accurate decisions that maximize marketing ROI and brand impact. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's speakers. From Marketing Evolution, we have Jason Palleschi, Product Marketing Director, and guest speaker Tina Moffett, who is a Senior Analyst at Forrester. A little about Jason. He has 15 years of experience in planning and executing profitable marketing strategies for Fortune 500 companies and startup environments. He has expertise in developing and implementing integrated campaigns, product launches, as well as comprehensive business plans for new products and acquisitions in the security technology, education technology, and financial services verticals. Jason recently earned a Master's of Integrated Marketing from New York University. Next, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker, Tina Moffett. Tina serves B2C marketing professionals focused in marketing analytics, measurement strategies, best-in-class marketing and customer metrics, customer journey analytics, tools and technologies that support marketing insights, and insights into action strategies. Now, I'd like to kick things off by welcoming Tina. Tina, over to you.
Great. Thank you for that great introduction. So I'm excited to be here today with you guys to share some insights on best practices for building unified measurement. So on the agenda for today, very quickly, I'm going to share some trends on marketing performance measurement, best practices for unified measurement, and then action items. Give you some quick kind of tips and tangible ways how you can get started with unified measurement. So let's kind of dig into the trends. So at Forrester, we administer a lot of surveys and and we use a lot of our data to drive deeper insights into consumer trends, as well as business and marketing trends. But what we notice with consumer trends is that consumers are not only connected and addressable, but they're empowered. And by what we mean by empowered, meaning they have control over the relationship with the brands. We actually segmented our consumer population and found that consumers fall into four buckets, one of them being progressive pioneers. And those are consumers who use technology to make their lives better. They're constantly interacting with the brand through technology. They're using social platforms to gain reviews and insights on products and services. So when we cut this data, we looked a little bit deeper, and we found that 23% of those progressive pioneers, out of all of Forrester's consumer data, are progressive pioneers in that segment. So a large portion are very tech savvy. If we look at the entire population of insights that we do have, we find that 18% of U.S. online adults look up product information while shopping, and we have a ton of data around that a little bit more deeply. And by 2020, we expect that there will be 1.14 smartphones for every person in the United States. So we can't deny any longer consumers not only are connected, but they're addressable. They demand kind of good interactions with the brands, with their brands. So marketers should react and kind of abandon the old way of thinking, what media should I buy, to how I can help solve customer problems. We're starting to see more and more marketers really embrace and focus on at what point in the customer journey can they not only make the right offer or hit the customer at the right time during the right channel, but also solve for a pain point and to evangelize the brand value. Now, to do this, marketers need to embrace what we call a contextual marketing engine to survive in this post-digital world. And this is a connection of system of insights, so systems that provide insights about customer behaviors, marketing performance, and that leverage customer data into system of action. So those system of actions can be marketing automation systems, call centers, it could be your media buying systems. But the connection points between the system of insights and the system and systems of action become very very relevant. Sorry about that. I am going back to presentation mode. Okay, great. Great. So and what we found when we asked about, when we asked marketers, hey, how do your firms use marketing measurement? What's the main drivers and reasons why you're using marketing performance measurement models? And the reason was really interesting. It's obviously to provide insights into where marketers should reallocate, but marketers not only want strategic guidance of kind of performance and where they should allocate, but also tactical guidance. And they want that all in one system, one complete view of marketing performance, as you can tell with the top reasons being just an understanding of performance and where they should allocate in the future. So the demand for more comprehensive, unified solutions are there. Yet marketers still struggle with using analytics to drive decision making. When we ask the top 3 challenges that prevent the organization from making use of measurement and analytics, the top 3 that came out were inconsistent level of quality among data sources, linking insights to a specific customer, and then the data materializes so fast that marketers find it really difficult to execute against. The inconsistent level of data quality is a continuous problem. When I was a practitioner in this space 7.5 years ago, this was one of the challenges that we faced on a day-to-day basis. Oftentimes, marketers are challenged with getting data from ad servers or from Facebook or other entities, and they're not really sure the quality of the data, such as was the ad even served, is where I'm getting it from, or the metrics calculated in such a way that's reflective of my customer base. Insights to a specific customer is increasingly problematic, and what we've learned is that the ability to identify and connect customer at that customer level is a key initiative for marketers in the future. So today's measurement practices, which are still advanced, if we look at just attribution models, television attribution models, marketing mix or media mix models, and heck, even kind of test and control where you have a holdout group and a test group, they really struggle to support customer obsession. And there are 3 core reasons why. One is customers make unpredictable movements across the purchase path. So the purchase path isn't completely linear. When I make a decision to buy a product, I may not go through the awareness or the awareness phase, I just may know I need a product. I may need hair soap, so I go through maybe a late stage consideration phase. So it really becomes unpredictable where the customer could move along the journey. Second is customers use multiple devices simultaneously. One of my favorite stats that we have here at Forrester is that customers use their devices in very interesting places. Majority of the time it's in the living room, but the second most popular place is in the bathroom, with 43% saying that they use their device in the bathroom. But what we're seeing is this increasing number of devices per person, and we see about 2.5 to 3 devices per person surfacing in the U.S. with that number growing. So the multiple devices makes it really hard to track people across devices. Mobiles don't have cookies, and cookies we're predicting it may become obsolete. So it's going to be really hard to track people. And the third challenge is customers' intentions may vary across the life cycle. So in the awareness and consideration phase, I may just be, thinking or mulling over an idea of buying a new car, but it may not come to fruition over the next 2 years. So the intention could be varying across different types of customers. So what we think is marketers must balance kind of a few traditional approaches to get this unified view. And typically, marketers could use a marketing mix or a multi-channel attribution model, but they serve different purposes, right? Attribution, very digital focus, measures specific placements across specific publications. Sometimes they don't measure incrementality, which is a big asterisk around attribution. Marketing mix modeling is a great econometric way to measure the strategic value of marketing. It takes into account factors beyond marketing, such as pricing variations, economic challenges, and just general market forces dynamics to measure the incremental effect that marketing has in the whole of revenue for the business. But that becomes really hard to take action on. What we're finding is this demand of marketers wanting a marketing mix model and an attribution model combined together so they get the best of both worlds. So they know strategically where to place the budget, and tactically how their campaigns performed and if they should invest in those campaigns in the future. So at Forrester a few years ago, we dubbed a term unified measurement, unified marketing performance measurement. And what that is essentially, it's using a single view of marketing and media performance so you can drive strategic and tactical budget allocations. Now, that could come in various forms. You could build a person-level model, which is essentially a person-centric marketing mix model. You can use a multitude of models that you have in your toolkit together more uniformly, so you're getting this single unified view. But what that does is having a unified view provides a few key things. One is you're going to get more precise evidence-based allocation. Using data science to accurately assess performance and optimize where you're going to invest in the future is more effective than basing your performance on the last click. I think everybody knows that. If the model is stable, if insights are consistent and I think of value, you're going to get a more precise way to budget dollars in the future. Second is accurate measurement of what I call kind of really complex analysis. And one of those complex analysis is a cross-channel effect. So while in marketing mix, you can look at, okay, well, TV drove search, you can't see which specific TV ad drove which specific search term that you paid for. That's what you can get through a combined model. So not only a cross-channel effects, but things like halo effects, right? So if you ran one ad, how did that impact an ad that was run at the same time on your digital on digital, right, or display ad or video ad? These complex analysis can only be ascertained through marketing through a combined analysis. And then finally, a deeper path to purchase, right? So looking at all of these touch points will give you a sense of how customers traverse through key purchase journeys and what marketing they've received or what media they've been exposed to across those journeys. So this is all great, and we love to talk about kind of everybody, marketers should embrace this unified view. But the next question we often get at Forrester is, okay, how do we do that? So I want to walk you through some key steps and key things you should consider when building a unified model. So in order to build a unified model, you need to shift core measurement capabilities to support it. And those core capabilities include governance, so the ability to align your goals and your team to embrace and use unified measurement. People, so identifying the right resources that can support, evangelize, and help kind of create a unified measurement strategy and model. Technology, so the data and technology needed to actually build and execute and manage a unified approach. Measurement, so the different types of measurement approaches and analysis that you could use to build a unified model. And then finally, process. So what's the process in terms of optimizing campaigns and ensuring that a lot of these insights are actually activated on. So when you're looking at those core capabilities, you have to assess whether or not you're in the beginning stage, the intermediate stages, or the advanced stages. And in the following slides, I'm going to go through each capabilities and talk about if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, some of the key things you should be doing in each stage to advance towards unified measurement. So let's start with governance. So the key thing here is to align executives and define goals for unified measurement. So if you're starting out in the journey of unified measurement, you really need to identify a pilot or a brand or a business unit to start your measurement journey, and then defining those business metrics. It sounds very foundational, but you'd be surprised in terms of a lot of marketers. They may think they've done this, but they're using a lot of metrics that aren't aligned to other marketing departments. They haven't tested out some ideas. So the best way to kind of advance your measurement is to start with a pilot and start to kick off A/B testing, right? Or test versus control, so you can measure incremental effects. And by that way, it's a scientific way to say marketing, this campaign is driving X% more in dollars than if the marketing campaign didn't run. And I think from there you can help define those business metrics. And those business metrics really should be around what is the efficiency of my marketing. So how much did it cost? Right, so you're looking at CPAs, and what's the effectiveness, right? So how many dollars did it drive in? And those effectiveness metrics can be tied to a revenue or can be tied to a leading indicator metric, which is usually a popular kind of approach towards the upper funnel of awareness and consideration. And those business metrics are really those metrics that you're going to base decisions off of and optimize. And as you advance to intermediate and advanced, you're going to start institutionalizing collaboration, not only within marketing, but with analytics and finance. I firmly believe finance becomes a key player in this as you're starting to think about how you holistically measure marketing and media performance along the customer journey. They're going to be able to help you define those key metrics, the business values, right? So when you think about those metrics, you can not only measure to understand what's the response and what's the conversion, but how that ladders up to incremental revenue for the business. And if you're really advanced and you're already using mixed modeling and attribution, it's really important to start to align these business metrics and outcomes to the campaigns. And you're starting to ladder up marketing effectiveness to channel effectiveness to business effectiveness for your organization. I also think within the advanced stage, marketers who want to use a more advanced approach has their whole, it's a whole marketing functional buy-in that's from the CMO down, but also involvement with the CFO and the analytics team to build that out a bit more. So that's the best practices around governance in terms of aligning executives and defining those goals. The second phase or the second capability that a marketer needs to focus on to advance unified measurement is people. So building the right cross-functional teams that support unified measurement. So in the beginning, if you're a beginner, if you're starting out on a more advanced way to measure, you've maybe have measured through testing or may have done pre versus post measurement. The next step in terms of advancing your measurement is to recruit the right partners in data and technology and finance to help craft that measurement approach. I think your key gatekeeper here as a marketer is going to be analytics. They're gonna be like I said, the gatekeeper to determine the right analytic approach. Or if you're working with a partner, they're going to be able to help vet out the analytical approach the measurement partner is taking, and determine if that's the right approach for the business. Now, you're going to be heavily dependent not only on your technology providers to help identify the data sources needed and the technology that you can use for measurement, but with the analytics professionals, they may be leading the helm in that beginner stage. And as you move into intermediate and advanced, it becomes so important for you to, for a marketer to evangelize the benefit of advanced marketing performance measurement. So it becomes important for you to raise your analytics IQ so you understand marketing analytics, and perhaps enlisting your partner to help build a marketing analytics-based curriculum. This is something that's really popular among the vendor set today, but it's certainly something that you don't have to be dependent upon your vendor to do. You can take the initiative along with your analytics team to build it. And I think it's really important to do because it's going to level set how much knowledge as a marketer do you really need to understand marketing measurement and analytics and the metrics. It's going to help level set everybody's knowledge around this topic as well. And as you move into advanced, you'd want to refine measurement models. And you're using, and in this phase, we're assuming you're using advanced measurement models. We're assuming that, it's a constant flow of information. As a marketer, you're always going to want to be refining these models and questioning them and asking them if we could add more data or more dynamic insights. So that's going to be a consistent collaboration between the marketing department, your analytical teams, and your partners as well, your measurement partners as well. And that would include things like doing in-market testing, doing reviews of data to ensure you have high data quality, and determine any gaps within data or insights that you may have. So that's the people portion of what's needed for unified measurement. So as we go into the technology and data, I mean, this could be a whole webinar unto itself. But I boiled it up into a key few things that each phase, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced, can be doing to make sure you're using the right data points and the technology to get a single view of marketing and media performance and to understand the customer journey. First, if you're in that beginner stage, at the very basic level, you really need to become a data advocate as a marketer. I'm saying not as an analytics professional. I'm saying if you're a marketer, you really need to become a data advocate. We're swimming in a sea of data. I showed you some data points where marketers reveal that it's their biggest pain point to making use of their measurement and analytics. Is data quality and data connectivity. So quite simply, you're going to want to run a data audit either with your partner or internally, and that would be looking at identifying the data sources you need to build a unified model. So if you're using your digital, if you're including your digital channels, it would be, well, I need data from my ad server, or I need data from my agency for cost data for my television, how much I'm spending on television, things like that. So first, identify those data sources. And then second, you're going to want to look at and this is very nitty gritty, how campaigns are coded, if they're consistent across different data sets, if there are gaps in campaign codes, so because you're going to need to standardize that. And then the third thing is to look for data anomalies and things that are just way out of the average spectrum of your data set. To ensure that you're using clean and reliable data. I think also in the beginner phase, you're going to start to realize like, hey, can I do this within the four walls of my house? Or am I going to need a measurement partner? And who are those measurement partners that are well suited for my culture of my firm and for my organization? And as you move into intermediate and advanced, in the intermediate side, you're going to really start to implement the data connectivity tools to enhance speed and data quality. And this may be working with your measurement partner and identity resolution company to kind of connect consumer level data across devices to onboard data from offline data sources as well. And as you're doing this, you should always be building data quality standards to ensure the data is complete, accurate, and consistent, and making sure this data is aligned with your privacy rules as well. And then finally, as you move into advanced, you're building this system, and which is great, but you want to make sure that people are taking action on it. And that requires you to understand how can we take these recommendations from this unified model and push it into programmatic buying systems, into bid management platforms, heck, even out to the agencies so that they have a more consistent media plans in the future. And that's something that I think more advanced companies we see doing right now. So another capability needed for unified measurement is measurement methodology itself. So in order to move along the measurement maturity level, if you're in the beginning stages of unified measurement, we recommend scoping a pilot project. It's probably the easiest approach to getting a unified view. You want to consider the channel, the granularity, the geographic DMA level. I would recommend looking across multiple channels over a certain period of time, not channel specific. Unified view, the whole purpose of a unified view is to look across channels. So maybe focus on a 3-month time period in a certain geographic area and look at a lowest level of granularity in terms of understanding performance. And as you move to intermediate and advanced, you want to start to unify and orchestrate different models together, or create a unified model itself, and then build in market tests to verify models. And that becomes critical, the in-market test, because what it does is that it helps you prove the value of whether or not the model is actually working. And that becomes critical when you're starting to kind of try to convince people to use the model. And as you're advancing into this phase, we see a lot of advanced marketers who are using unified views analyze effects of non-media factors such as pricing and distribution, inventory availability, looking at things like weather, economics, to understand how those factors really drive a customer's decision to buy. Really advanced marketers, and I have not seen this often, could start to look at quantifying and balancing how their short-term measures of success, which is usually quarter upon quarter revenue or conversion rates, should be optimized against long-term business value. So, and those long-term metrics could be forecasted out, financial impact a year or two down the road, or it could be things like brand-based measures or brand awareness and things like that, the harder to measure metrics as well. And then finally, as you're progressing through using a more unified approach, it becomes imperative to use near real-time insights to cut poorly performing elements of your campaign out of your marketing plan. So if you're in the beginner stage and you're using that pilot program, it becomes important for you to kind of within that pilot program define phases of kind of review, which would include things like data gathering, identifying the measurement approach, the metrics of success, and the outcome. And once you have that process defined within that pilot program, you're going and clearly defined, and the dependencies, and you're going to clearly identify the bottlenecks of getting data, if your metrics of success are accurate. And then once you fine tune that, you're going to be able to get pretty quick insights so that you can swiftly make changes. And then from there, you need to really understand how you can share these results rather quickly to the greater organization, so you can make a decision whether or not to stop, move on, or cut the marketing program quickly. And as you move into intermediate and advanced, it's actually going to become less of the typical process that I, as a marketing analytics professional, have been used to years past, where you're going to be using a lot more predictive models to assess alternative budgets. So once you have the piping in place for gathering the data and the technology, you're actually going to be really focused. You're going to start to become focused on that optimization piece to understand, okay, well, what if, given the performance of my email campaign or my media, how should I invest dollars in the future? The invest dollars in the future part is where you're going to be spending a lot of your time. So that way, the real-time insights are going to become even more real-time, because you're going to be really focused on the immediate value that you can get. And then the really advanced brands are using this unified view, need to start thinking about how you can align your align your resources to support people-led planning process to bridge measurement, planning, and optimization. And this is a dramatic organizational shift away from channel-based marketing and more focused on people-based marketing. So looking at core segments within your brand, and then aligning the right resources to service those core segments, the right channels and tactics and call center activities to ensure that you're building plans that can optimize the value of those certain segments of customers. Great. So you're probably thinking to yourself, what can you do to prepare for this really long measurement journey? And that's exactly what it is. It's a journey. It's not a destination. I like to say that a lot, because people often say to me, well, I have a measurement project, and I quickly break it to them that it's not a project, because a project says that there's an end date. This is never going to end. So here's some key things that you can do. I went through a typical assessment to share with you best practices around those beginner, intermediate, and advanced stages. I think it's important for you to assess where you fall first in terms of beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We have an assessment on Forrester.com for marketing performance measurement you can take. I think starting with those core 5 capabilities is a good place to start in terms of creating your own assessment. And that will give you a sense of where you fall along the maturity curve. From there, you're going to be able to identify the strengths that you do have along people, process, technology, governance, and identify where you're doing well and what are the gaps that you need to fill. And those gaps may be where you're falling short, or they may not even exist at your organization. And then from there, you're going to be able to prioritize. And then finally, you're going to be able to plot a course to advance your maturity. And that means if you fall in the beginner stage or the intermediate stage, you can set short, medium, and long-term objectives across the measurement field that you want to accomplish. And they can be small, achievable objectives. So for example, if you're currently using attribution model and have a marketing mix model, you could say, okay, well, how can we maybe next month or next quarter start to share the results and compare and contrast results? We know they're different models, but there's some overlap here. So how can we kind of look at those digital channels within the marketing mix, look at the digital channels within the attribution models, and then align those. If you're further advanced in using multitude of models and saying, okay, well, how can we use these models and build a people-based model? Or maybe we should just start to focus on building a more advanced people-based model and start to build the steps out that way. And like I said, this is marketing performance measurement has become so wildly popular among marketers today because there's just so much data and metrics out there that marketers are unsure of what to optimize against. And marketers, I think, need to realize that that's not going to change. You're never going to find the metrics within your digital channels that are really an indication of how your customers interact with a brand across different devices or in the digital world. And that's because customers are always kind of 5 steps ahead of us. They're always using different ways to communicate, to consume content, to interact with the brand. And as long as that continues to happen, which is, marketing performance measurement becomes less of a reporting and mundane job and more of a really exciting, innovative space and process to be in, and it'll never change. It'll always be very interesting. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to the marketing evolution team, where Jason will pick up from here.
All right, thank you, Tina. Now over to Jason, who's going to bring some of Tina's research to light by sharing his experience with marketing evolution customers.
Right, thank you so much, Karen. Before we open it up to the Q&A portion of the webinar, I wanted to go into just a bit more detail into why marketing mix modeling and multi-touch attribution are simply not enough today. And then I'll go into a brief case study from one of our customers who actually made the switch to unified marketing measurement. So first, marketing mix modeling uses regression analysis to uncover the relationship between marketing mixes and their overall impact on sales. Now, this worked really well in the past when one broad message to all consumers was standard. However, today it's far less effective for a few key reasons. First, in determining marketing ROI, MMM provides limited online, offline coverage, and low media spend channels are often neglected completely. In terms of granularity, MMM is actually limited to high-level media allocation analysis only. It does not provide visibility into the effectiveness of your content. It also doesn't measure that connection between your brand influence on customer decision-making. MMM also provides results only after the fact, only after your campaign is done. So you're not able to make those in-campaign adjustments, which are so critical. And again, it's also limited to high-level segmentation only. And just to recap, overall, marketing mix modeling focuses on recommending media mixes without considering audience and messaging, which are really 2 key elements that have a major impact on marketing ROI. And then let's take a look at multi-touch attribution. MTA takes a more granular, user-centric approach to marketing measurement by evaluating all the touch points along a consumer would encounter on their journey to purchase, and determines which touch points have the greatest impact to influence a specific outcome. So MTA is certainly more effective than MMM, but let's take a little bit of a closer look. So MTA is very effective with digital media, so email, display, paid search, but it provides an aggregated consumer analysis without sufficient offline media coverage. It does provide a limited understanding of content effectiveness similar to MMM. It also lacks any connection or analysis between brand and consumer decisions, also similar to MMM. However, on the other hand, MTA does make it possible to do in-campaign analysis and adjustment, but it's really limited to your digital channels only. In terms of segmentation, it's limited to segmentation at a more aggregate level as well. So a few things to think about with MTA. It can misinform marketers and cause some crucial mistakes, such as valuing creative at that aggregate level and determining a message is ineffective when it actually can be effective for smaller, more targeted audiences. So then moving on to unified marketing measurement. Unified brings it all together. It combines multiple data sets and assigns business value to each factor affecting marketing performance across all touch points, both digital and offline. This holistic view enables marketers to really pinpoint the impact and all the customer interactions across print, broadcast, and digital ads and your digital marketing efforts, all through person-level data. So you get that individual person-level data across all of your media to make the most effective marketing decisions. Unified also provides complete online, offline coverage, which is different from MTA and MMM. It delivers person-level data, like I just mentioned, which enables a deeper, more accurate analysis of consumer behavior at that individual person level. It also measures effectiveness of a specific ad or creative contact, unlike MTA and MMM. And from an ROI brand impact standpoint, unified measurement measures brand awareness and consumers' long-term value. It's also highly capable of enabling in-campaign adjustments for both online and offline. And then when considering segmentation, unified is much, much more flexible and can be built for segmentation by person, content, or media. And then just to pull in some stats, in a recent study conducted by Forrester, they found that a more holistic view commonly identifies opportunities to improve the efficiency of your marketing budgets by 15 to 20%. Marketing Evolution has actually found that number to be as high as 30% when taking into consideration person-level unified measurement. So as we mentioned, unified marketing measurement is proven effective, and the first movers in your space will certainly reap the rewards. So I really encourage you to take the time to investigate solutions like Marketing Evolution so you don't get left behind. There are really three major problems with legacy approaches that unified will solve. So the first problem is planning in silos reduces your impact. A unified approach helps you stop planning in silos by looking across all of your channels holistically and ensures you focus on the specific areas where you will get the most impact. So this facilitates data-driven trade-off decision-making, which helps marketers centralize decision-making and breaks down those organizational silos. The second problem is misattribution really hurts your accuracy. A unified approach, on the other hand, combats that misattribution by connecting person-level data and analysis to provide accurate recommendations at a granular level. Thirdly, ad fraud wastes your marketing dollars. So ad fraud happens when a service provider misrepresents impressions, clicks, or conversions in order to generate revenue. So in other words, ads are not actually shown to humans. Unified measurement can identify and eliminate this ad fraud through advanced models that address waste. And then finally, before we wrap it up, I wanted to take a quick look at one of our customers who made the switch to unified marketing. Now, this particular customer is one of the largest media and entertainment companies in the world. And they came to us with the goal to find a way to effectively spend marketing dollars in a crowded market space that moves very fast. So their initial campaign with Marketing Evolution was for a movie sequel. So of course they had a very limited budget, and the campaign was only 4 weeks long. So the overall problem was they previously used post-campaign data to make marketing decisions. Also, there were hundreds of entertainment competitors in that space, all vying for the same audience. So they really needed to make decisions during the campaign. It was only 4 weeks, like I mentioned, and you only have one chance to watch a movie. Previously, they had no way of knowing who purchased movie tickets or what influenced their audience to do so. So the solution, they use marketing evolution, which helped them analyze person-level data to maximize the full potential of their marketing spend. The software uncovered the best performing media at the lowest cost, as well as the best performing creatives, which helped them make those in-campaign adjustments while their campaign was still live. As an example, they discovered that the best performing TV creative focused on plot, had more dialogue, and showed the main character with supporting characters instead of just by himself. And then as a result, the customer was able to shift their spend where their audience actually was. The software also helped them to develop a clearer picture of the path to purchase intent. With that, they were able to identify 6 key target groups by uncovering the correlation between intent to see the movie and viewership in various age ranges, education levels, and household income. The key supergroup was actually individuals who watched 6 movies a year, believed special effects were important, and were ages 25 to 44. So you can see we can get very, very granular. With the optimization recommendations, our customer was able to realize a 43% lift in sales, and it also confirmed that TV was the most effective channel for them. And as an added side effect, and one thing that Tina pointed out, it also helped improve the company's focus on data-driven decision making. So back to Karen.
All right. Thanks, Jason. And thank you both for sharing your insights and recommendations today. Now let's move on to the Q&A portion of this webinar, and I'll take any questions from the audience. We only have a few minutes left, so let's do one question, and let's ask it to Tina. How about this one? What is the best approach to convince an executive team to embrace a more advanced marketing performance measurement approach?
Sure. So I always think the best approach starts out with testing. And testing in such a way where you're doing a simple control and hold out, right? And then when you present the results, it's your opportunity to talk to them about not only the successes of that particular campaigns, of that particular kind of testing campaign, but the challenges of what you don't have insights into. So you could say things like, look, the test performed 5%, the lift was 5%, let's just say, and it brought an incremental X number of dollars. But we don't know what the drivers of that particular campaign really convince customers to buy. Further, we don't have any insight as to whether or not a combination of that campaign versus another campaign that was going on at the same time, or the TV spot that was running, could have influenced the decision to buy. So even though this is interesting, it limits our purview. That's the first step. The second step is, I think, to take a more customer insights angle and talk to your CMO about how it's really difficult to connect customer insights and to understand customer decisioning and psychology because of the reasons of what I shared in the beginning. Consumers use multiple devices. They have numerous factors in terms of decisioning. And that starts to make the case for more advanced measurement approaches. If you're already using an approach like a mixed model or attribution, they probably already know the limitations and frustrations that you may be dealing with now. In that case, if you're already using advanced approaches that aren't a unified approach, it could be worthwhile suggesting something like a test period, or bringing a partner on board, or working with your partner to say we want to do a pure kind of unified approach of looking at television, search, display, social that leads to in-store sales, and we want to do it for this time period, and build a model or use their technology to do that as a way to kind of test out the results for that.
All right, thanks, Tina, but it looks like we're out of time now. So thank you so much to everyone who joined today, and I'll be following up with the slides and recording from today's webinar shortly. Have a great day, everyone.